Hello, I'm Pastor Matt Verhoek from the Valley Alliance Church, and today we're going to look at Jesus' arrest in less than 3 minutes. Jesus has just spent the last 3 hours in agonizing, intense prayer, while his disciples have been catching up on some sleep. Well, 11 of them, Judas, is not sleeping. They're in the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives, just east of Jerusalem. Judas knew the place and leads an armed group from the temple to arrest Jesus, away from the crowds. Judas came near, greeting the Lord, "Hail, Rabbi," and approaches him. Now Jesus' first indignity, in a long line of indignities, on the way to the cross, is betrayal from a friend. "Even my close friend, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted up his heel against me." Jesus accepts the kiss of betrayal. And then the disciples realize Judas isn't there just to say hello. He is the betrayer. At that point they ask, "Lord, shall we strike with the sword?" Before Jesus could answer, Peter struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. But Jesus says, "No more of this." Then he reaches out his hand, touches the man's ear, and heals him in his last miracle. Then Jesus allows himself to be arrested, telling the band of the chief priests and soldiers, "But this is your hour and the power of darkness." Jesus' attitude is remarkable in this tense, high-pressure situation. He's surrounded by an armed mob at night who he knows is going to take him to his death on a cross, and yet he's the picture of calm. Why? Now, contrasted to this is Peter, who, in the midst of the chaos, makes a decision that's equally wrong and foolish. It's wrong because he's not following his Lord, who's accepting the circumstances, and it's foolish because his sword is going to do nothing to stop Jesus' arrest, except likely get him killed. This contrast between Jesus and Peter in this moment illustrates how we too can find calm in the midst of a storm. Peter is anxious because he's not trusting in God's plan and God's word. Jesus is calm because he knows his Father is in complete command. He knows his Father could send 12 legions of angels. He is calm knowing what he is doing is good and right, and ultimately he's in God's hands, even as he's currently in the soldiers' hands. Peter worries because all he can see is the immediate threat around him. So he takes whatever worldly power he has and wields it with reckless abandon. We too, if we feel weak and powerless, can grab hold of whatever worldly power we have and use it for evil. That might just be the words we use in an angry Facebook rant or sniping at our spouse. But if we realize, like Jesus, we're walking in God's plan, we need not fear or have anxiety. But like Jesus, we can face the difficulties of the world knowing God is in control. And when we know God is in control, we can take one small step, conquering our fear and anxiety. If we feel in our hearts the truth, as Paul says in Romans, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us.